Abusuya ye makwaba shonkoso eba POG Media. Ene yɛde highway ne so highway ne de ensɛm bebree wɔ so a yɛn nso yɛagye pene sɛ yɛbɛma abidwafoɔ no ahu deɛ ɛrekɔ ɛne deɛ ɛreba na dan na ɛrekɔ so ɛwɔ highway ne so. Ɛyɛ Electoral Commission gye Mensah ɔno ɛna sisi ano ɛnsɛ na nsɛm wɔ no papa yɛfrɛ no General Mosquito a ɛsan so ɔyɛ NDC chairman a ɔno ɛsɛ A.Nketia ɛde pressure da biara no ɔde gu Jane Mensah etiri so because BVR machine ne BVB machines na ayra no ɔno deɛ ɔse ne nsɛm a ɔpɛ sɛ ɔka no Jane Mensah no ɛyɛ so ɔhwɛ ne life because BVB machines no stolen machines no ɛwɔ na ɔmo deɛ ɔmo NDC foɔ no ɔmo ntena ase ɛma afei abatoɔ no nkɔyɛ afraase na ɔmo deɛ ɔmo ani abere yie paa nti no ɛsɛ A.Nketia akasa papa ne nsɛm a waka no yɛmpɛ sɛ yɛne yɛbɛka saa nsɛm no nyinaa wɔ ha yɛbɛpɛ sɛ yɛbɛme abidwafoɔ no ankasa bɛme akɔ na yɛakɔ akɔtie nsɛm a ɛrekɔ so ɛwɔ highway no so na ansa na yɛbɛkɔ no wɔ nsɛm kan bi afa hyɛ yɛ comment section like share ma afoforɔ nso nsa ntumi nka bi aha ɛyɛ POG Media political trending stories bi a ɛrekɔ so biara no yɛn nso yɛde bɛbrɛ mu medam ase.
This question though, to wrap up on the EC related matters, we'll get to the BVRs, BVPs, but before we do, so at this point, 7 months to the elections, what would be, on a scale of 1 to 10, your level of confidence in the Electoral Commission that is going to supervise that election or those elections on the parliamentary and presidential level? As you sit here today, if I asked you on the back of what you've seen,
I won't give a figure, but it's below par.
The EC has performed.
I say I won't give a figure, but it's below par.
Where below par means what?
Below pass mark. Unless,
so
but
below
they have
50?
Yes, they have the opportunity to correct themselves, but it doesn't look like they're about correcting themselves. See, because after we walked out of IPAC, and for certain reasons, Peace Council intervened and everybody gave promises that we will be working together. I think that we should have begun on the new path. But what is emerging does not give me personally confidence that actually we are working on the new path, because a leopard hardly will share its spots. Shared its spots. So maybe they are trying, but I want to encourage them to improve, because as we sit now, I don't think that I have that level of confidence. And that is why we are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that wherever there is that confidence shortfall, we put in other measures to ensure that we will still have some credible elections.
Where lies the problem? Is it with the Electoral Commissioner herself and her thinking, or is it with everything across the board in the Electoral Commission?
It's about everything we have discussed this morning.
I see. So let's take a brief swipe at the BVD and BVR issue.
Yes,
you know, there have been a lot of statements from the EC saying,
you're
making a mountain out of a molehill. This is not the case. You are even now suggesting that you know, these are in the hands of certain people who are using them to register certain NPP members on the blind side of the NDC and all of that. And the EC says, stop throwing dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. Why are you doing this?
Where are the missing BVDs? My BVRs, where are they? This is a simple question that EC, if they don't have anything to hide, they shouldn't drag it to create all this unnecessary noise. The problem is coming from them. All right? Because the demands we are making, they are demands that ordinary people with ordinary intelligence will be making to satisfy ourselves that nothing is going wrong. They have every capacity to respond to those demands without it creating any problem. The fact that they are refusing to open up is the source of worry, and it will continue to be the source of worry. But because I think that if they don't have anything to hide, opening up would have resolved this matter long, long ago. You see, you have this, first of all, you are keeping these machines. Some gets missing. You know, they are security machines, and they are kept under
lock and key.
Lock and key. Apart from that, you have CCTV surveillance. You have fiscal security surveillance. You have the military deployed 24 hours, police deployed 24 hours, an armor car in front of the Electoral Commission. And apart from that, individual commissioners are protected by armed personnel. Now, you have this sensitive equipment. Some gets missing. We are saying that, tell us, was there a break-in? In which case, you can examine the logs to see that somebody has broken in. So far, no break-in. You have a CCTV surveillance 24 hours. What story is the CCTV telling us? You say nobody should know. And the fact that this equipment got missing, if you are open, as you keep on saying, let the people know, let the people, if you are open, the very day you detect that these things are missing, what do? You inform Ghanaians. You inform the people that this sensitive equipment has gotten missing, and we are on the lookout for them. Or these are A, B, C are the actions we are taking. You know, this equipment gets missing. Nobody heard about it until there was some rumor, and then our members of parliament actually questioned EC officials in parliament where they had gone for a different assignment. And they didn't have any option but to admit that some of the things got missing. Then the minority leader addresses a press conference and put it in a public domain that some equipment have gotten missing. Then you react swiftly that no such equipment has been missing from your place. Then we call an IPAC meeting to go and find out what was happening. Then it was at the IPAC meeting that you now admit that indeed these things were missing. And we ask you, what steps have you taken after that?
I mean, I think we are fully aware of some.
You understand? You know all these things.
Right.
So where we are saying that if it is public property that has gotten missing, what are you hiding about the fact that they have gotten missing? What are you hiding about the identity of the exact equipment that got missing? You are telling us that it was laptops, which are components. That is the key engine of the registration kit.
They say without certain operational allowances, those laptops mean nothing. They can't be
Look, all
used.
the laptops, the dangerous thing about it is that the laptops have been exclusively manufactured
for the process.
For the process.
Right.
And the Ghana Electoral Commission. And so, and that is at the center of the workstation for the registration. All the others can be bought off the shelves. And not all the,
so let me
like
just,
the scanner.
I get the point you're making. What is the end game here? Because, for example, you have said that you would use some technology to get the serial numbers at different, polling stations for some of these gadgets. Are you able to do that now? Is it a process you've already started?
Listen, we are worried because the same Electoral Commission is telling us two different stories from their own mouth, from one mouth. Because when we said that let us identify those that are missing, so that everybody in Ghana knows that these 7 or 6 or 5 items are missing. So the serial numbers of this, if you detect it anywhere, or you detect the output from that equipment anywhere, then we all know that it cannot be part of our process. You say that, no, that one you won't give it to us. It's okay. If those that are missing, we are assuming that you didn't even record the serial numbers of those that were missing before they were taken away. Right. So let them go. But what we are deploying today,
they've told you for security reasons they can't
let
do
us,
that. But
so the security reasons, listen.
Are you going on that trajectory?
Just a moment. If those that are missing, you are not identifying them to us. Those that are in use, you don't want to identify them to us. What type of transparency is that? And your reason for us to convince us to ignore those that are missing is that without an activation code, they cannot be used. You didn't say the serial number, because those that are missing have been stolen together with the serial numbers. So if the serial numbers are so sensitive that anybody who gets it can manipulate our elections, then we must be worried about those that are lost. We said those that are in use, let's have their serial numbers. And you are now telling us that the serial number, if you get it, you can manipulate elections.
We get that point. I'm saying, are you capable? You said you would get the serial numbers.
Yes, we are capable of that.
Have you already started doing that?
Yes, because in fact,
did you just say yes?
Yes, I say yes. Before this issue became a public controversy, we had collected all the serial numbers for 15 regions.
I see, of these devices.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Because they are displayed at the registration center, and no registration or EC official thought that the serial number of an equipment is anything of any consequence. If you want it to ensure transparency, it is good for all of us.
Your people were taking photos of these because they're displayed on the gadgets, and so what?
It's there, and we are all sitting there. They took it. And so, and when you are going to do elections, the BVDs, we all take their serial numbers on election day. So if those you are using for registration, we say, let's take the serial numbers, how does it become security?
All right.
And so it was the regional officer for Ashanti region who refused to allow our agents to pick the serial numbers. And we say, how? All the regions we have picked. What is the problem? And then we reported to their bosses in Accra that this regional person is frustrating our effort. Then the bosses in Accra now hold a meeting and decide that the regional officer was right. So they now issue a circular that nobody should be allowed access to serial numbers.
But you're going contrary to that.
Because we have this, or the 15 regions already. And we are picking the Ashanti region one, whether they like it or not.
In defiance of what the EC has.
Because the machine is, you put it in public. And there are agents there. So what are you hiding? Can you be driving a vehicle on our roads and say that you won't allow anybody to pick the number? And that if I am a passenger and I'm boarding a vehicle, I want to take the number and send it to my wife that I'm on vehicle number so and so for my own protection in case something happens. You say you won't allow me to take the vehicle.
But what does that say?
You want me to say
you want a free and fair election. There's an
That's
arbiter.
What I'm saying.
Hold for me. There's an arbiter, the Electoral Commission, and they say go by these rules. You don't want to go by those rules.
Where are the rules? There is no such rule.
No, but the EC
they are insisting on the wrong thing.
In this instance, on the back of security, reasons and all of that, we want parties to comply.
It is not
with this,
easy.
And you say you
Why didn't they issue that one before the registration process if they knew that it was part of their security?
All right.
There was nothing like that. And there's no law they are trying to enforce. It is just impunity.
Right. I get
that. Because we are in power and this is what we want to do. How do you change the rules of a game when the game is already in progress?
I get you. You've already mentioned, I'll cap this off on the political front.
Yes.
You said that if elections were held today, you would expect the NDC to secure some 52% per your internal polls.
Yes.
There's also the long-standing issue of the flag bearer of the MPP not having a running mate. Yeah. Some have said there are different reasons for that. Some have even suggested that, it's a delay maybe to ensure that whomever they pick doesn't get too chastised before the elections. But why do you think that is happening? And do you think that works for your party, the NDC?
Because their official position is that a running mate is useless. Even when he becomes a vice president, he's a mate. So they don't think that getting a running mate is of any consequence.
I see.
That is their official position, according to Dr. Bawumia.
All right, that was succinct. Let's now get into some other boiling issues currently.
Yeah.
There's the SNIT,
yes,
tussle, an attempt to sell stake in 4 hotels to Brian Champong and his Rock City Hotel and all of that. The TUC has come in. Some former administrators of SNIT have spoken. What is your position on this? I heard, I believe, the information minister saying today that, why are we doing this to a local businessman? Now, if we took away the politics, right, and the fact that he's a businessman with one of the biggest hotels in the sub-region currently, and if he can do it, why are we treating him this way? I also listened to Akroma recently say that some members from the NDC in the past have had stake shares in SNIT hotels in Sunyani, somewhere in the central region, Cape Coast and others. So what is your take on this?
You know why we are not making progress?
Right.
If you catch a thief, he says that there was another thief who also stole this one, so it's a balancing game. I mean, that is not the way a country should be run at all. Right. Now, if he's worried about the noise, it is because the stakeholders are very many. As I sit here, I'm putting politics aside. I'm a stakeholder because I'm a pensioner.
All of us pay our pensions.
Precisely.
Hoping that someday
precisely.
we'll reap the benefits.
So if you are dealing with people's pensions, in the wake of a situation where pensioners have been asked to come for a haircut, people shouldn't keep quiet. It must be transparent.
But I'm asking, is it
and there are
they say they went through a process, went through all the protocols, and his outfit emerged on top. Should we deny him merely because he's a political figure and his party
whether they have gone through the process or not is now a subject for SRAG investigation. Let the SRAG come to talk to us. See, because there are several issues that are being bundled together. Number one, SNIT has a responsibility to invest people's pension funds in such businesses as will generate sufficient profit to be able to pay beneficiaries. So the first thing you got to look at is that the sale of the hotels, is it something that is a prudent business engagement that SNIT is going into? As for that one, all stakeholders of SNIT can have a bite at that argument. Right. That's one thing. Right. The other side is that even if it is prudent for SNIT to offload those shares, how did it get to the selection of Brian Champong's company to handle it?
I just told you that
that
SNIT
is the
had
concern.
that there were processes, due process.
But the major stakeholders of SNIT are contesting that claim. That is TUC, the Workers' Front. They are contesting that claim. So that is another matter. And the third leg of the argument is that an honorable member of parliament, who is also a minister of state, buying state property, have all the precautions been taken to ensure that it is fair and proper for such a person to buy a state property? That is another angle. And so,
if all these boxes were ticked,
the last one,
and the person
is that A member of parliament is not supposed to hold an office of profit directly or indirectly, because I heard him saying that he's a director, but he doesn't take, what do you call it? He doesn't take any allowances or salaries and so on. But he ends up saying that he's a sole owner of the company. So where does the profits of the company go? It comes into your pocket. That is the indirect payment. So Shrag will look at those things. So first, as a member of parliament engaging in business without the permission of Mr. Speaker, as a member of government buying state property, there's another issue there. And whether SNIT is investing the monies of workers in the proper way, it's another issue. So these are things that we need to go into. If you don't take them one by one and look at them and you bundle everything together, somebody says, for example, it's MPP, this one says NDC, this one says this, it won't solve any problem at all. And listen, you spoke about holding of shares and so on. If you are a majority shareholder, it is completely different from being an ordinary shareholder. You understand? If I'm controlling 10% of the shares in a company, I don't influence the decision in any way and so on. You can't compare it with somebody who is, the 100% owner of a company, and that is what we are hearing. And then the process that you say, says there's nothing untoward. At least the letters that I have read, this process started in 2018.
Right.
Transaction advisors were appointed somewhere in 2018 when Brian Champon's hotel has not been established. So a process that begins before your birth.
Right.
How come you become the winner in 2020? And it's also a case that in 2020 another transaction advisor was appointed. Was that transaction advisor a co-transaction advisor to the one earlier appointed, or is it the case that the earlier one had been dismissed and the first process has been abandoned and they began a new process because there's a new company that has come on board and there's an intention to make him the winner? We don't know. So these are things that we need.
So these are questions that ought to be answered.
So highway so Johnson Esidu A.Nketia and Atutu bi amane electoral commissioner enye asem ketua kra ono oche say amono about one day omontwe ma electoral commission mbewiem ma NPP for no sa stolen machines nyina no omo de omo hwe enim me yebede abudwafo ase say omo je pene kokotie sa audio we e de MI aha POG Media menamase.